IGN Live, and now, shoot-'em-up games are often thought a relic of the past, but the folks over at KeelWorks are injecting new life into the genre with their new game, Signy, All Guns Blazing. Good title, good title. Joining me to talk about this cinematic, vertical scrolling shooter, our co-founder and CEO of KeelWorks, Meher, and creative director Konami, Rich. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi.
Now, I am a Schmup fan. I'm a big Schmup fan. I checked out your game. It looks very cool, so I'm excited to get into this. Rumor has it you have something big to announce today at IGN Live. Is this correct?
That's correct, yeah.
What is it?
So we're finally going to announce what everybody's been waiting for. We're announcing the release date of our game, which is August 6th.
Ooh, summer game.
And pre-orders will be live now already.
Great.
And for early pre-orders, we have 10% off.
Very cool. Now, for those unfamiliar with Signy, All Guns Blazing, what is this game? What is this game that you've been working on?
So you mentioned it's a shoot-'em-up. It's a modern take on the traditional shoot-'em-up. It's a twin-stick shooter game for PlayStation and Xbox and PC.
I think one of the key things for this game is that we wanted to make shoot-'em-ups approachable to people that perhaps aren't die-hard shoot-'em-up fans. So that was one of the key ideas originally. So it's a little bit different from a traditional shooter, and I think you'll see that when we show you some of the game footage. So it's one of those. It's not about having to be very, very precise. You can get hit. You have an energy bar. So it's more about managing your energy bar than exact bullet dodging. So it's hopefully a little bit more approachable to general action fans rather than just shooter heads.
We're seeing footage here. Looks pretty fast-paced. Does it qualify as bullet hell? Is this a bullet hell game or something different?
Not entirely a bullet hell game. Again, there's lots going on in Signy. It's not totally about, as Rich said, dodging the bullets. Sometimes you will get hit, but that's okay because you can use different strategies. Also, how we kind of explain it, it's like Star Wars and Starship Troopers on screen. That's how we kind of designed the game at the beginning.
Yeah, right? Good. Now, they're impressed. Now, it wouldn't be IGN Live without some exclusive footage. What do we have for everyone here and watching it online at home?
So we're gonna we're gonna show some new footage that we haven't shown before, a bit of 2 different levels. So yeah, we can start. This is actually level 5, and each level will have a short in-game cutscene, which kind of creates the mood of the game. And here we can see the level 5. So this level is called Over the Clouds, and so
I love it. I love that there are Schmup fans in the house. When you describe this as a cinematic shooter, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
So I think you can see from looking at it that it's very cinematic. It's interestingly in widescreen and beautiful visuals, and as well as that, there is a story that goes along with it. And as Meher said, there are intro and outro videos to each level, which does tell a really fun story. And I think the other, it's one of those games where, and as you can see, there's different weapons in this. So one of the things we wanted to talk about was the way that you can actually customize your ship. So if you notice, the person playing is flicking between these different bullet spreads. And you can do that strategically for crowd control, or you can also flick to narrowing it down for more impact on some of the enemies that take or need more hits.
Is this, are you collecting different power-ups? And then can you upgrade your power-ups?
So you upgrade, so you'll see when on the screen that these little blue dots will appear when you kill enemies. Those are energy points. Now, normally those energy points will go into your shield. So you can then switch, you can move these points between shield and weapon. And the idea is, you can put more energy into weapons to make them more powerful, or if you're feeling more defensive, if you're more of a defensive player, you can prioritize your shields. But any of these points you pick up that go over and above your max shield, you will be accruing, and you can spend those in between the levels to unlock new upgrades, and then eventually open up this what we call designer mode, which is where you're where you're able to actually customize where each individual gun points.
Yeah. This is actually a traditional kind of boss. We wanted to design this boss as a more traditional. It has at least 6 different guns and then the main head laser, as we saw. So this is the upgrade menu, which is an interesting. So the upgrade menu, you can unlock your upgrades, and once the
people love an upgrade menu.
Big UI fans in here.
So you also have the designer mode. This is quickly showing the designer mode, like Rich was talking about. You have different guns, so you've got at least 5 guns, and you can basically save presets, pattern designs for your projectiles, and then change them on the go. So this is where we're showing how we're kind of doing that once the designer mode is unlocked. So the player here is actually saving the patterns of the gun.
Now, I believe your soundtrack is also available to pre-order on Steam. How did you approach the soundtrack?
So yeah, the soundtrack is orchestrated music. Well, shout out to my uncle Vace, who made the music. He's a great composer, and it's an orchestrated music, and it's really a different take. It's a new to the genre as well. One thing we noticed, this is the first time show level 3. It's called the Dead Shallows, and we can see the beginning of the level. We have this very fast-paced approach. We have these randomly generated obstacles that pop up, and we can give indication because the blue lines show you when they're gonna come up, so you can still cross the blue line. When they become orange and red, that means that you're gonna hit. Even the enemy units here, if they bump into these obstacles, then they will die. So it's really interesting, short beginning phase of this level.
It really changes up the pace of the game. Previously to that, you've been flying much higher over the world. So when we zoom into this, there's this amazing feeling of speed, and then boom, over the waterfall.
It is a lot more cinematic than your typical.
Yeah, thank you. That was always the aim.
So you've got it's a widescreen shooter, and as you move left and right, is the angling happening automatically?
No, but it's actually sort of semi-twin stick. So with the right analog stick, you're actually able to aim your guns through about 30 degrees.
Yeah. So it's not a 360 twin stick. That's why it's not full twin stick. But then you have the pattern design that we just explained, and the upgrades that compensate to that. So you can design crazy designs shooting backwards, for example, so that, I think the player there is demonstrating changing the patterns. So
I like the sense of depth that you're providing, that there's all this action happening beneath you too. It really gives the sense that you're in the middle of a battle. A Star War, if you will.
Yeah.
Something like that, maybe. Now, thank you for applauding my dad joke. Is this a single-player shooter, or can you bring in a friend for a co-op?
You can definitely play local co-op as well, and so
one of the nice additions in co-op is that you can actually revive a fallen co-op player. So there's a little bit of help there. So if your player dies, you can actually spend one of your energy points to bring them back. So, it is true co-op, and it changes up how you play the game.
Yeah.
How are you sort of... there's this fusion of narrative and action. Are they completely separate? Like the level starts and there's some narrative, and then that gets out of the way and it's all action, or is it a little bit more combined?
So
no, that's exactly it. The story is told in between the levels, although there is kind of a narrative. If you notice, when you've played a final game, you'll notice that each consecutive level you are higher and higher up in the stratosphere. So you'll start off very close to the ground, and then each level is higher and higher until you're in outer space. So there's kind of a bit of a visual narrative going along there as well, which actually goes along with the story that is told.
We have the in-game cutscenes that kind of prepare to the level, but you also, after every single level, we have short cutscenes, story scenes where you can see the story evolving in the eyes of the protagonist, the pilot, which is called Ava. And these are very interesting done. And we also have full CG intro and outro to the game as well. So we have different elements to the story that kind of comes in slowly as we go through the levels. But we also have an arcade mode in the game. So there is a story mode and an arcade mode. An arcade mode is more for the people who chasing scores, and there's a leaderboard attached to it. So yeah, so you have more playable.
Yeah, so it's a cross.
I like that. It's competitive players out there. Online leaderboards. Online leaderboards.
Online and cross-platform.
Online leaderboards.
Cross-platform, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said at the top, I'm a big Schmup fan, going back to playing Gradius and Life Force on the NES. I love the arcade Schmups of the 90s. Dodon Pachi is my favorite. Even the more modern ones, a little bit more modern, like Ikaruga, Radiant Silvergun, and all that. But they're a little bit less common today. What do you feel like? Where does the Schmup fit into the gaming landscape of 2024?
I mean, I think we hope that this doesn't just appeal. I think I said this earlier. Just doesn't just appeal to Schmup fans, but hopefully it opens it up to a new audience. I mean, I'm of an age where action games shoot 'em ups were just called action games. That's just what video games were, right? But I think as we've developed, shoot 'em ups have become very, very categorized into a bit of a narrow genre. So the whole point of this game was to try and blow that genre wider, and hopefully it'll appeal to people that.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. So
I agree.
We'll take that.
I agree.
For us, it was very, very important. It was very important to create a good game rather than categorize it in a very rigid kind of category, whether it's for Schmup or other. We've got lots of ground units there, ground battle going on. You can engage with the ground units. So there's a lot more creative flair to the game development than just categorizing it in a rigid category, let's say. So it's definitely not the same as the traditional Shmups designed for arcade machines, but hopefully this one is what we wanted to see in the current gen consoles, and that's how the design element went with it as well. Yeah. So I hope that we did justice.
Well, it looks awesome. Looks awesome. Meher, Rich, thank you so much for joining us here at IGN Live. Signy All Guns Blazing is coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC on August 6th. But before we go, we've got one more thing to share with everyone. What have you got for us?
So we've got because we showed a lot of gameplay today, so we've got a full CG trailer that we prepared. So basically, you want to hear something more crazy? This CG trailer you're going to see is only done by 2 people.
Whoa,
so,
okay. All right, let's take a look.
Go ahead.